Yes, once again, Coach Frank's digital radio show has been hijacked. Except this time it's with his full knowledge and permission. There is something really cool that Dr. Margella and I have been working on pretty diligently, and I'm actually going to release it to you in this special episode of Sporting Good Posture. We're going to highlight a specialized reason why a dress of athletics, sports, and fitness is particularly important on the subject of posture. Now, I want to caution you, if you're not an athlete or a fitness enthusiast, or into sports or fitness at all, you may lose a little interest at first. But if you don't listen to this episode, you will never learn the secrets of how to live to the fullest no matter what game you play. Even if your game is just going back and forth to work, keeping after the kids, whatever it is. Because what you're about to learn is not only how nature designed the body to be athletic, that its natural design is that of an athlete. You are going to learn how you can customize it to yourself all on your own without any help from anybody. We're going to actually give you a guide, a manual that you can follow and you can customize to yourself, and we're going to give it to you for free at the end of this episode. But you're not going to want it unless you listen to the entire episode. So let me explain a few things to you. I got all that and more coming up after this. Stick around.
Game on, sports, fitness, and health fans, with another episode of the Sporting Good Posture digital radio experience. Gear up for Coach Frank's advice from the sidelines as he helps you crush your game, no matter what sports, health, or fitness game you play.
Hey, this is Coach Frank. I'm Sporting Good Posture. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach, what do you got for us today?
And yes, welcome back to another episode of Sporting Good Posture. This is not Coach Frank. This is Frank Sardella, producer of the Sporting Good Posture podcast, and I'm here with you in a very special episode today. No, I didn't hijack it again without Doc's permission. Dr. Margella is very much in the know on this because of a project that we just finished that I had in the works for a while. Now, Coach has been a supporter of mine since 2012, so we've been working together for a lot of years. And one of the things that I did is I wanted to give back to him. And I steered some of my advocacy. I'm a wellness advocate. I podcast, I go out and lecture, not only about the subject of chiropractic, but about posture in general and about nature's blueprint for the body. And really getting people aware of themselves and the equipment that they've been endowed with. Because most people are kind of clueless when it comes to that natural design. But I kind of wanted to give this to Coach Frank for his practice particularly because of his purpose. Now, Dr. Frank Margella has a really strong purpose in chiropractic. It's not just to be a doctor, but it's what that represents to him specifically, which is what made me want to kind of push a little power in his direction. And that has to do with athletics, because the whole reason Coach Frank is a chiropractor is because he was an athlete. Before all of that, it's been built into him since he was a kid. He was a hell of a football player until he faced injury. And it's not only the fact that he was an athlete. There are plenty of chiropractors and other types of physical medicine specialists and wellness professionals that I know who are or were athletes and are no less worthy of having such support. However, the unique thing about Coach Frank is the fact that he forewent any pursuit of sports in life once he found the solution of chiropractic. He and I have something very similar because a lot of people ask the same of me. They say, Frank, why did you not go to chiropractic school and just become a chiropractor and open up your own practice? And I could have done that, and I probably could have helped anywhere from, let's say, 10 to 30,000 people or more. But how many people could I possibly treat? And personally treating, I really didn't need to treat them. I just needed to create awareness and raise people's awareness enough for them to get the same help that I did from a chiropractor. Now, not everyone's going to have their life saved in some recognizable way as I did. Different people get different things out of chiropractic because they have different issues. But why athletes? Dr. Frank Margella started out as just plain old Frank Margella, football player, until he got an injury and ended up in the hands of a chiropractor. And once he understood the concept of it, let alone got better and totally tuned up his performance on the field, once that occurred, he recognized that he needed to do something different than just pursue a career in athletics, keeping that gain all to himself. He consolidated that game and said, I need to bring this to everybody. And by everybody, he meant athletes. But as I later found out, everybody is designed to be an athlete because nature's design for the body is actually quite athletic. And that's what this episode is all about. And that's why I've actually created this thing in coordination with Coach Frank to be able to bring it to you and bring it to everyone. And we have a special guide, a special manual that we're going to give you that's customizable to yourself and will empower you to actually take advantage of this blueprint on your own. But let me talk to you a little bit about the blueprint before I tell you what that guide is going to consist of and why you should actually download it. What do I mean when I say nature's blueprint for the structure of the body is that of an athlete? Well, let's look at the playing field that humans play on. The species called man hangs out on a playing field, and that playing field is actually here on planet Earth. Planet Earth has certain properties. Now, one of the things that I observed about planet Earth, because I can tell you planet Earth is a stressful environment to live in, and I know where your mind is going to go. It's going to go to your work. It's going to go to your worries about bills and finances and problems you're having, different things like that. This is what people think of when they think of the stressful environment. And this is largely because we live in a very automated society. But if you were to go far enough back to, let's say, prehistoric man, you would start to see man against the elements, okay? When I talk about planet Earth, I'm talking about nature. I'm not talking about the conveniences we have here that make us sort of oblivious of how stressful of a playing field we're playing on. This playing field called Earth. And Earth has forces to it. Gravity alone is pulling you down toward the center of the Earth. It makes you very fragile because you can't go up too high away from Earth without support. Because without support, the speed with which you'll come back down to Earth can kill you. So you can't go up too high. There's atmospheric pressure here. That pressure changes, creating the elements. And those elements are very stressful as well. Pressure changes in the environment. Heat in the environment. Too hot a climate will kill you. Too cold of a climate will freeze you to death. If you go too deep under the ocean, more than a certain ways down, you will get crushed from the pressure. And deep sea divers have to actually go into decompression chambers to not kill themselves coming back to the surface. So it is sort of a serious playing field that rivals any brutal sport you've ever seen, the Colosseum included. I'm talking gladiators here had it easy compared to the environment that we had to combat. And when you look back to a time where it was just man against those elements, what you're looking at is the raw form. And that raw form of human bodies, we're just talking about the human species, the species called man. Nature has a blueprint for man. And if you look at the physical stresses of the environment called Earth, you'll realize man is on a playing field and has challenges on that playing field comparable to some of the most athletic athletics there have ever been. So that's why I say, if you're not an athlete or a fitness enthusiast, you have even more reason to listen, because if you're not, then you're actually not thinking with the blueprint. Now, this guide that I have for you is for everyone because it is based on the design of the human body, which is designed to be athletic. It doesn't mean you have to go out for athletics or sports or become a fitness enthusiast, but it does show you the ideal should have you be able to combat this environment, and that it should show you that certain experiences you're having are not natural to you, that something's interfering with that ideal. Because in absence of the ideal body, in absence of knowing the exact blueprint and understanding how should the body be structured and how should it function, those two together, they're inseparable. In absence of knowing about those two components, you can never possibly know if the body is functioning well, if it's functioning at its optimum, if it's malfunctioning, if it's broken, and if so, malfunctioning or broken, how to even fix it. Because if you don't know what the ideal is, you wouldn't know what to shoot for, let alone know anything's wrong at all. So in other words, if you have a piece of electronic equipment and it seems to be, quote, working, but you never read the manual on it, there may be functions in it that you don't know it's supposed to have. There may be things that it's supposed to automate for you that you don't know it should be doing. And let's say it's actually not doing those things, you're never going to know about it because you don't understand the blueprint. You don't understand how it's structured, how it's supposed to function. Any design, blueprint, what have you, is the ideal. And what you're going to learn in that guide is that the how of things, like how do you fix something, how do you take care of something, how do you maintain something, is superseded by something greater than just how to. The technology of taking care of something is superseded by the purpose of that technology. And the purpose has to do with the natural laws that this thing is designed to help use to your advantage. Okay, in other words, an automobile is designed to take you quickly from point A to point B a lot quicker than you can walk. So an automobile has that as a basic function, and it has certain functions of how it's supposed to do that. But those functions are based on natural laws. How do you take a hunk of metal and get it from point A to point B in this amount of time? How do you do that? Well, you have to figure out all the physical forces involved. Physical forces like gravity are not technology. Those are just laws of planet Earth. They're laws of the playing field. Purpose comes from the laws of the playing field. That's what's actually covered in this in great detail. Now, the purpose of this episode is to kind of set you up with the highlights and say, look, if you don't know the blueprint, especially if you're into sports, you're an athlete, fitness enthusiast, if you're a dancer, a martial artist, whatever it is, and on top of that, amateur, pro, weekend warrior, dabbler, whatever, if you don't know the blueprint inherently, you will never know not only if you're operating at your potential, but you'll never know what your true potential really is. The fact of the matter is, most people are operating below their optimum simply because they don't know the blueprint and have set the bar for themselves in terms of their goals too low, entirely too low. Because when you actually show them the optimum blueprint and they see the distance they are away from the optimum, they start to see how much more they could be shooting for right now. Many of them, champion status is being withheld from them just by not knowing what their true potential really is and thinking that, well, some people are bestowed with this. Now, I don't want to give you any spoilers, but this is essentially what this guide covers and why we want you to download it. I did this especially for Dr. Margella because of the fact of his purpose. He's got a good heart in this, and he could have kept it all to himself, and I fully believe could have totally gone pro. If he went into sports and wanted to pursue that, he definitely could have. But he saw something that he didn't want to keep to himself. He saw something that he wanted others to know. He wanted all athletes to know this. Now, yes, he wanted families to know this. He wanted adults and children alike to know this. But there's still this part of his heart that really reaches out to athletes. And he has this unique capacity to help them. And that's the other reason why I turned my focus of energy onto sports for the moment, because I hadn't done it already. I've been waiting for the right excuse to, and I thought, what better of a person to release this with? So Coach Margella is the first one releasing this guide. You should know that. He's one of my most staunch supporters, and in exchange for everything he's given chiropractic and athletics especially, I feel he deserves this, to be able to spread this message in this way, and he deserves my support in return. So that's where I kind of commandeered this podcast. I mean, the last one that I commandeered, it was on the subject of weight loss, and it was kind of cute and was fun. And we were just goofing around a little bit, although there was a lot of good information. We got a lot of great feedback on that podcast episode. We even did a follow-up after party where Coach and I were speaking back and forth, but this one was kind of personal to me because I wanted to give it to him to be able to present to you. And I want him to help as many people as possible. You have to keep in mind, I'm a writer, I'm a producer, and I extensively do this kind of thing. I have a lot of chiropractors and wellness professionals, nutritional coaches who have approached me about doing same, and I produced a lot of works. This digital radio show that you're hearing now is not the original show we started with. We started with a show called Take Control of Your Health Nashville. We got about 4 episodes in, and I pulled the plug on the show. Even though I had created it, even though I was producing it, when I spoke to Coach, I just told him, I said, listen, I'm not feeling it. And I don't think you are either. Why don't we retool and figure out what to put out there content-wise that's actually going to not only say who you are, but going to get done what you're attempting to get done. And I leveled with him and I said, look, you're not Dr. Margella. Yes, you were a doctor of chiropractic. Yes, you earned that. But more importantly, you're Coach Margella. You're the guy on the sidelines of every game there is, including the game of life. And you recognize the athleticism built into nature's blueprint for the body. And you got into this to foster that and to help that with everybody you can. And that's why I want to rebrand you. And so came up with the name Sporting Good Posture, which he loved the rebrand. We're having fun with it. We're in our third season now, as you can see. In season 3, if you look at the insignia for the show, the whole Cobra Kai thing that Doc is into now. Cobra Kai, they did 3 seasons already. And here we are in season 3 of the show. And we've got kind of a martial arts motif going, which is kind of cool as well. But I don't want you to think that as a patient, if you're doing weight loss or body sculpting or whatever, this does not mean it's exclusive to you if you're not interested in sports. I don't want to sort of mess with that. Yes, we are looking at attracting many more athletes toward this material. We want to empower them. We want to enlighten them. That's why I've released this guide, and I'm making Ideal Health and Wellness Center here in Nashville my first stop on the train to get that out there. Every single word in that guide is something that Coach Frank forwards. And I'm just endorsing him right back because he's endorsed me and supported me for so many years now. He believes in what I'm doing, and I believe in him right back just as much. So this is both of our gift to you. And let me tell you how you can get that. Go to sportinggoodposture.com/sports. And when you go there, in the middle of the page, Coach is going to ask you, where should I send your copy? And when you see that, you tell him exactly where to send it and hit the button, send me the guide now. And within 12 minutes in your email, you will have a copy of How to Sport Good Posture and Tap Your Natural Athletic Potential. Now, who's the book for? If you're a sports enthusiast or you're into sports or you play sports, either professionally or amateur, if you're into athletics, fitness, dance, martial arts, gymnastics, yoga, golf, you name it, this applies to all of those. And even if you're just playing the game of life and you're having a stressful go at it, you will get something out of this book. And you do not have to become a fitness enthusiast or sign up for a membership at the gym or work with a personal trainer to do this, because we're giving you something much more important than that type of coaching. However, you will also find where that kind of coaching becomes valuable. You're getting an owner's manual, kind of a sneak peek or the cliff notes to the body. Because the body is designed to be athletic, whether you do athletics or sports or not, this is the cliff notes to how your body was designed. And if your body was designed to be athletic, it's not necessarily important that you be an athlete, but it is important that you understand what its design is so that you can measure how far you are from that design. And that's precisely what you'll be able to do at the end of this book. There's 48 pages in this thing. And at the very end, there is a self-assessment you're going to do. So this is actually a custom manual written about you specifically. It's something you're not going to find on Google or YouTube. You have to go there and download this thing, because in the end, there is a self-assessment you're going to do, and then there's a self-assessment form, like more of a survey or an inventory form, and that's going to customize this guide. So this guide is an overall owner's manual to the human body and its athletic potential. But when you read it specifically, it becomes the owner's manual to your body. And that's what's so cool about it. And I'm very proud of this. I've done several of these books on several different subjects. I have to tell you, the sports one was my favorite one of all. And I think it's because it's all embracing that whether you're into sports or not, this is the basic design of the body. And it gives me great pleasure to bring that to you. And it gives me great pleasure to announce that Coach Frank is the very first doctor nationwide to release this work. It's with my compliments and with his compliments that we release it to you. And I encourage you to make sure that you download this right away. So go to sportinggoodposture.com/sports. And when you get there, where it says, tell me where to send your copy, tell us where to send it, and hit the button that says, send me the guide now. And as soon as you do, 12 minutes later, check your email and your spam folder, and you'll find an email that has the link. Now, it doesn't end there, because I've arranged to make sure that you hear from Coach. You're going to probably hear from him about 4 more times after that, where he's going to email you and check in on you. And he's going to give you some special information on how to boost what you get out of this book. So you'll receive the first email within 12 minutes, and you'll be able to read the book. Then in a couple days, you're going to hear from him again, and he's going to check in with you. And he's going to tell you how to supercharge this book. And each of the following subsequent emails, there's about 4 of them that'll happen over the next, let's say, 2 weeks. He will check in with you and make sure that you keep going back to the book and plug in something else, and be able to self-coach and make your assessment really super awesome. There's no other word for it than just super awesome. So do that, and then at the end of that, he'll tell you how you can take what you found and actually use it to your advantage. So even if you're disappointed in what you find, believe it or not, you're going to be able to use that to your advantage. And one thing I promise you about this download, your potential is far greater than you're thinking now, and this will prove it to you conclusively. I don't want you to take Coach's word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I just want you to read this, assess yourself, study the blueprint, and then make your own conclusion about how far you are from this ideal that's in the design. I guarantee you're going to be surprised, and I guarantee your bar has probably been set lower than you should have set it, because you didn't know your potential was that high. And I'm talking potential that's comparable to some of your favorite professional athletes. We're not going to turn everyone into professional athletes. And you don't have to be into athletics. I can't stress that enough. If you're into the game of life and you're on this playing field called Earth, this guide is for you. That's all I got for you today. Thank you for letting me commandeer this episode and bring this to you. And thank you for being the very first audience to hear about the How to Sport Good Posture and Tap Your Natural Athletic Potential guide. It's my pleasure to have helped Dr. Frank Marghella bring this to you first and to allow you to benefit from it the way he intended when he decided to forego his personal future with chiropractic and sports and bring it to you for your benefit. I think that's commendable in any circle, don't you? So thanks again for listening. Remember, I'm going to say this on Coach's behalf. The Coach's door is always open. DM him on Instagram at SportingGoodPosture. Tell him what's going on, and he'll tell you what he thinks. This is Frank Sardella, in for Coach Frank. I'm Sporting Good Posture. How about you? Be good.
The Sporting Good Posture Podcast is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health Wellness Center. All content copyright 2021. All rights reserved. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Coach Frank appears courtesy of Ideal Health Wellness Center in Franklin. For more information, visit sportinggoodposture.com and follow Coach on Instagram at Sporting Good Posture.